What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome into episode number 797 of Underground Sports Philadelphia, presented by the city of Vineland. It's your boy KB coming at you solo dolo, coming at you all types of just sad. I'm big sad. Okay, there's a lot to be sad about right now. The Eagles choked. The Union choked. It's a big choking episode. Get the Heimlich maneuver ready because it's a big choke episode. We're going to talk about the Eagles game, unfortunately. We're going to talk about the Union blowing their opportunity with home field advantage throughout the MLS Cup Playoffs and are going home in the semifinals. We've got Erin Grugan back on the show. That's something to be happy about. Erin Grugan is back to talk 76ers. A lot of stuff since she's last been on the show, but happy to have Erin back on. We've also got more Philadelphia Wings Media Day interviews. We'll be joined by Sam LeClair and Scott Dominey. Very excited for you guys to listen to that. Sit down from Wings Media Day. Those two were electric. Can't wait to see them back out on the floor with the Philadelphia Wings this season. And then we'll talk about the Fly Guys because they're absolutely buzzing. So a loaded episode here. I apologize for the delay. We had some delays with getting OTB up for the people because of the ongoing bout that we had with Xfinity. It seems like to a degree, it's still not all the way clear, but to a degree it's clear. So here we go. But programming note too, typically Thursday show is going to drop on Wednesday. I'm going to be recording on Wednesday and have that, or probably Tuesday night, and have that drop on Wednesday afternoon, followed by Guzman's Gridiron. So you're going to get multiple updates on the YouTube channel and on the podcast feed. So just a little awareness there because Thanksgiving, big ting in the city of Vineland. Shout out. The 154th meeting between Vineland and Millville High School on Thanksgiving for football. I'll be on the call. Tune in, Vineland Public Schools YouTube channel. It's going to be a doozy. It's always an honor to be on the call for that game. So a little bit of just reshuffling of the deck where you'll have an episode here. You'll have an episode on Wednesday, early afternoon, if not morning. That way, Guzman's Gridiron drops before Thanksgiving, and that way all of us can kind of have off on Thanksgiving and not worry about recording and not worry about episodes getting lost on Thanksgiving because people aren't listening to podcasts on Thanksgiving. And then Friday, you'll have a new episode of OTB as the NLL season kicks off on Friday. So just a little bit of a programming note there. But nonetheless, we are here. Make sure you guys are following us on the socials at Underground PHI across the board. We're on every social platform. I would love to get to 2,000 followers on Instagram before the end of the year. That would make my heart happy, okay? That would make my heart happy. Make sure you guys are following us on the socials at Underground PHI. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook. We're on everything. And also, for the clowns and the fucking cowards that are trying to hack my Facebook account, I've dealt with this a couple years ago, and I thought I had it under control. Now, twice in a matter of 72 hours, I've had people from Pakistan and Ecuador trying to hack into my Facebook account. Hey, my foreign ops, fuck off. Stay away from my Facebook, okay? You absolute bozos. That probably means I'm going to get even more attempts at my account being hacked. But shout out to Facebook and shout out to Meta. It's a very rare shout out. because usually I'm having more problems than not. But shout out to them for blocking my account from being hacked. That was a pleasant surprise both times. So stop trying to hack my shit. Follow Underground on the socials. You can follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311, KBIZZLE11 on Instagram and Threads. Subscribe to the pod, subscribe to the mother-loving pod. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave us a 5-star review. It goes a long way for helping this show continue to grow. It helps us reach new audiences. It allows us to do more things with and for you guys when you subscribe. So please, please, please subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple and Spotify. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. That way we can continue doing more dope stuff with and for you guys. And of course, guys, be sure to subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. That is where you get full video episodes of this show twice a week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. It is all on our YouTube channel. We are currently at 1,159 subscribers. That means we are 41 subscribers away from our next 100 subscriber milestone. So please, please, please subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. Leave a like on the video. Drop a comment in the comment section. Click that bell icon so you know whenever new videos go live. And this show, guys, is proudly presented by the city of Vineland. Yes, my hometown, the presenting sponsor here of this podcast. And the City of Vineland Municipal Calendar features city-organized, city-sponsored, and city-affiliated events that are of public interest. The calendar, which is accessible at vinelandcity.org, is a good way for residents and visitors to build awareness, remain engaged with city government, and participate in local events. You can also follow the City of Vineland on social media via their Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube pages. And through these tools, you can stay connected to the community and get important announcements about programs and services offered by the city. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season. A big thank you to Security 21 Security Systems and Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated for their continued support of this podcast.
Hello, I'm Mayor Anthony Fanucci. Vineland, New Jersey offers both a great business location and an outstanding quality of life. But don't just take my word for it, the experts agree. We're proud to be recognized as a premier food processing and logistics hub, one of New Jersey's most affordable and desirable cities, and one of the best places to retire in the country. Visit vinelandcity.org and see how our resources can work for you. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season.
Ladies, gentlemen, Eagles fans everywhere, we dealt with a rough one. Dr. Pepper, can you sponsor us, by the way? This shit right here, Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar Cherry, is divine. Dr. Pepper is a dream partner. A number of their properties, because I'm pretty sure they bought Ghost, my energy drink of choice. No free ads, but Dr. Pepper, let's do something. How about that? Let's cheer this boy up, because I'm dealing with a freaking Eagles loss to the Cowboys and Kelly Green. What are we doing? I cannot believe they lost that game in the fashion that they lost that game. Just a deplorable loss. Deplorable. And again, if you're new the past couple of episodes, I got a new mic arm, and it's taking a lot of getting used to with the adjusting. of said arm. But nonetheless, the Eagles, they lose. Moment of silence for the Kelly Green win streak, as I attempt to fix my mic bar at the same time. There we go. I'm like, why is it so difficult there? But truly, moment of silence for the Kelly Green win streak. It comes to a close. They're now 5-1 in the Kelly Greens. 0-1 on the road. I think that's a telltale sign to not wear them on the road ever again. I was nervous when they introduced the Kelly Greens to begin with, because if you know me, you know my theory about the Kelly Greens. They are just from an era of losing. Everything was looking great. It looked great for a quarter and a half of football. I'll even give you a full half. I thought we turned a corner. I'm sitting on my couch, having an out-of-body experience because we're throwing crossing routes over the middle to A.J. Brown. We're throwing balls in the middle of the field to our receivers. We're throwing deep balls. And I'm like, whoa, this offense is cooking. Where has this been all season for the most part? And things were feeling great. You're up 21-0. And then you give up 24 unanswered points and lose to your arch rivals 24-21. In just the most inexcusable, disgusting, deplorable way. And it all boils down to the simple fact, and I've talked about this on this show, this is why you should subscribe to this podcast and not listen to the radio station, because they're going to try to blame this on the quarterback. This boils down to this offense cannot run the football. They can't run the football this year, no matter what. Tank Bigsby, sure, he's getting runs and everything when he's in, but you're not paying Tank Bigsby the money you're paying Saquon Barkley and this offensive line to run the football. And at the end of the day, when you're unable to run the football, you kind of got to look at who's calling the shots for the run game. And as much as we love him, as much as we say he's one of the first assistant coaches that should go into the Hall of Fame ever, Jeff Stoutland has some blame in this. He's the run game coordinator. He's your offensive line coach. And guess what's been real bad this year? The offensive line and the run game. Offensive line committing abysmal penalties in this game, like drive-killing penalties. Saquon Barkley continuing to run into just brick walls because nobody can open up a gap in the run blocking. This team can't run block. I've seen better run blocking from high school football teams this year calling games from the booth than I have from this Philadelphia Eagles team. It is disgusting how they cannot run the football. And there are so many moments in this game in particular against the Cowboys where last year they're running the football and they're gaining on 3rd and 2. They're gaining 12 yards. They're gaining 7 yards and picking up a first down. Fresh set of downs, moving the sticks. There is none of that this year. Literally none of that. And it is a huge problem for this team because every team knows now there's so much film on you this year that to a degree this offense is what it is and there's not going to be much change to it. We almost kind of have to accept that unless we see something wildly different change in the blink of an eye. Every team you play from here on out, the Bears, the Chargers, the Commanders twice, the Bills, the Raiders, they're going to know you are a one-dimensional football team. And guess what? Even in that one dimension, you call the game as if you're trying to not lose the game at multiple different points. It's not like you go full throttle passing game. You try to build enough of a lead and then you take your foot off the gas pedal. I don't care what Nick Sirianni says about that. And you guys know on this show, I'm a Nick Sirianni guy. That is my guy through and through. But when it is so obvious in that second half, the plays that are being called, I can call them from my couch. And I'm just a high school football broadcaster when it comes to my football knowledge, and I'm a Philly sports podcaster. And I know the plays that are coming. I know the predictability of this offense. That is deplorable, and something has to change. Whether it's a play caller, whether it's somebody getting demoted, somebody losing play calling duties, whatever it may be, something has to change, or this team is going to be so figured out because they are one-dimensional. And like I said, inside that one dimension, it's a flat scale. There's no dimension to the one dimension. They're not even two-dimensional on offense. Penalties were abysmal in this game. And sure, the refs were bad with some of them, but you can't leave a game in the hands of the refs. That is something that our colleague, Jose Guzman, head coach of Island High School football, told us after one of our games this year on Guzman's Gridiron. He said, you cannot go into a game expecting the refs to be on your side and expecting the refs to do something in your favor. If you do that, you've already lost. So anytime we're complaining about refs, which rightfully so, these refs were dog water. I didn't know defensive pass interference constituted of a player extending their arm and pushing off of a defensive player's face mask, and that being defensive pass interference. But nonetheless, the penalties were brutal. Drive-killing penalties. You can't run the football. You went conservative again in the second half and played not to lose. And guess what? You fucking lost. Kevin Patullo's way in over his head. Jeff Stoutland deserves a lot more blame than he's catching. The offensive line deserves a lot more blame than they're catching. Because guess what? The people outside of the bubble of who actually watch the games, who actually watch Eagles games like myself, like a lot of you at home listening to this show, understand that the offensive line has not been what the status quo of the Eagles offensive line has been for years. That has not been the case this year. They've been injured. They played poorly. They've shuffled guys around because of injury. And now they're playing without their best offensive lineman in Lane Johnson for the next 4 to 6 weeks. And that poked its head out. And that's no slight to Fred Johnson, but he committed a couple of penalties that were daggers in this game. I was happy to hear Saquon Barkley take a little bit of accountability after the game. Saquon talked to the media after the game and said he's virtually been invisible this season and he needs to be better. I haven't heard much of Saquon after games pretty much all year. I don't remember the last time he spoke to the media. But for him to take accountability, I will at least give him a pat on the back for that. At least he's taking accountability for him and his poor play. At least he recognizes he has not been good this year. But guess what, Saquon? It's not all you either. The offensive line has done you no favors, but you're going to be the one that reaps the criticism because you're the playmaker. A.J. Brown was great in this game. I said defeat A.J. I've said defeat A.J. for a while, and it's about time they fucking did it. They fed Smitty a bit, and I just don't understand the going away from the middle of the field in the second half, man. That blew my mind. You have a healthy Dallas Goedert. Why are we not using him in the middle of the field? Why are we not using Saquon in the pass game in the middle of the field? Why are we doing these little dink and dunk screen plays that get you nothing? Those fucking underneath curl routes to the sideline are going to put me in a mental institution. Because they are terrible. Do we not understand that? Like, those plays get you 3 yards at most. And half the time we're calling them on big-time plays. Where was Jahan Dotson in this game? I don't think he recorded a catch. Why are we giving, and this is no slight to the players I'm about to mention, why are we giving Xavier Gibson and Darius Cooper burn on offense in a game like we played yesterday? I understand if you're up 42-7, let those guys get some touches. You are in a game that is still a game, and those two are in on offense? Like, what are we doing? It's frustrating. It's a bad loss. Do I have any changed feelings about where this team could be headed, in December, January, and February? Not yet. Because I still think the defense is great, but guess what? The defense got fucking banged up in this game. Reed Blankenship hurt. Andrew Makuba injured. Was seen in a walking boot after the game and on crutches and was in a cart. That's not ideal. Adoree Jackson, concussion. So he's in concussion protocol in a short week. The fact that we may have to deal with Sidney Brown on defense, let me tell you guys something. Sidney Brown is like that kid that you were friends with in elementary school. You could handle doses of him while you were at school, out on the playground, in a couple classes here and there, sitting next to him during certain periods of the day. But boy, when you got on that bus ride or that car ride or that walk home and you were kind of free from them, and you took that first sigh of relief breath because you knew your watch was over for the day with that friend, and it was just like a relief of you can kind of not have a walking headache with you. That's what Sidney Brown is. Sidney Brown drives me up a fucking wall. That guy has no on-field IQ whatsoever. And that may sound absurd coming from just a non-athletic regular person, a former, left outside, left bench football player, a former soccer player, and a swammer. But my God, that dude has no spatial awareness on the field. He is the reason Andrew Makuba is injured. He is Crash Bandicoot out there, emphasis on crash. He is a liability from a positional standpoint, and he's a liability simply because he has no on-field IQ. He's the person that you can handle in doses. You can't handle them for a full game because it's going to absolutely drive you nuts. And I'm terrified that with the injuries to Reed and Makuba, we're going to have to deal with Sidney Brown on defense a whole hell of a lot more than we anticipated. And it's going to drive me even crazier on Friday because C.J. Gardner-Johnson's lining up on the other defense. It is... And no offense to the person that is Xavier Gibson. I know he got injured. He got taken off in a cart with the concussion and everything. And that dude should not be on this team. The reason he got cut from the Jets and the Giants was because he had fumbling issues. And then you want to talk about spatial and fielding awareness. The dude fields a punt at the 1. They teach you not to do that in Pee Wee football. Why are you fielding a ball at the 1 trying to be a hero? Oh. And yes, the defense gave up a lot of yards and it was late. But guess what? That was because the offense couldn't do a lick of shit in the second half. This was a frustrating game. To lose in Dallas, in the Kelly Greens, in the way that you lost. I get we're still 8-3. And I'm not mad about that. The long-term prospect of the season is still very much like point blank, like fine for me. What is not fine is the way that they lost this game. What's not fine is the undisciplined football that this team has been playing practically all year. And what's not fine to me is the offensive line play, the inability to run the football, and Kevin Patullo calling the most conservative second half play calling I have seen in quite some time. This is the largest blown lead in Nick Sirianni's career. 21-point blown lead. And man, in a short week, when you have the number 3 seed coming in, and you are now the number 2 seed because the Rams win on Sunday Night Football, as I record this, on Monday night. You have control but don't have control of your own destiny now. Because, yes, the Rams still have some teams that they got to play that are formidable opponents, but the Rams now have the 1 seed. And guess what? Watching the Rams decimate the Buccaneers tonight, on Sunday night, I should say, the Rams are a far superior football team right now than the Eagles. Right now. Emphasis on right now. There's a lot that needs to be cleaned up, a lot that I hope Nick Sirianni reams into this team. They need it. They need a wake-up call, and I hope this is the wake-up call. I thought that it was going to be Denver, and I thought that it was going to be that abysmal performance against the Giants. But I hope that this is the wake-up call that this team, for whatever fucking reason, needs to push them through the rest of this season and find a way to reclaim that number 1 seed, because you need that in these NFC playoffs. I can't believe they lost this game. What a choke job. What a choke job. My Eagles ranting, brought to you by our awesome pals at 47. I'm rocking the Phillies 47 right now because it matches my awesome Biñho t-shirt. This is the cool Burr technology, I believe it is. Yeah, the 47 Burr technology, which is great in the summertime, great for the golf course, great for the outdoors, the beach, perfect beach hats, that Burr technology. And 47 is my go-to headwear brand of choice. I love 47. They are the best in the game. I've been rocking 47 for well over a decade. Used to wear it when I worked at PacSun, wearing it ever since. And I'm wearing 47 whether I'm, hanging out here in the studio, watching our favorite teams, playing games all throughout the week, whether I'm going out on the town, going to a game, best believe I'm wearing 47. You guys should be doing the same. The holidays are here. There's no better way to shop for your favorite sports fan than with 47. Use the link in the description. Shop with 47. Shop for your favorite Phillies, Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, Union, college, minor league baseball, and so much more teams. And get free shipping on all orders, plus early access to Cyber Week. Early access to Cyber Week when you join the 47 family. It's their rewards program. You earn points for every purchase you make. And it goes towards free tings. Free tings. And guess what? Cyber Week, 30% off the whole damn website. So use our link in the description. Join the 47 family and get free shipping on all orders plus early access to Cyber Week when you join the 47 family. And we thank 47 for being a proud partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Let's go around the NFL, shall we? And just wallow in our sorrows as the Eagles lose control of the number 1 seed. And we take a look at what is going on in the NFL. It all got started on Thursday Night Football when the Texans took down the Bills 23-19. Shut up, Monsters, Inc. Chiefs survive the Colts in overtime 23-20. The Seahawks take down the Titans 30-24. The Packers decimate the Vikings 23-6. 23-10 your final score in Baltimore as they take down the Jets. The Lions in overtime survive the New York Football Giants and Jameis Winston 34-27. The Bears outlast the Steelers 31-28. The Patriots hold on to beat the Bengals 26-20. The Browns, Shedeur Sanders time, take down the Raiders 24-10 in Vegas. The Jaguars in overtime hold off the Cardinals 27-24. The Cowboys beat the Eagles 24-21. The Falcons beat the Saints 24-10. Kirk Coupon's back in the fold there, and the Rams absolutely blow out the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield gets hurt in this game. Final score 34-7. Monday Night Football, 49ers and Panthers out in San Jose. And then we got that Thanksgiving slate. 3 games coming up. Packers at Lions, Chiefs at Cowboys. We're fucking Chiefs fans this week. And then Bengals at Ravens for the nightcap, and then Eagles and Bears on Friday. Short week. But that is what has gone down in the NFL this week, and it is brought to you by our awesome pals at Paramount Plus. Guys, there's no better way to stream the NFL than on Paramount Plus. You can watch your local games, check your local listings on Paramount Plus. Check out all the NFL action this season and beyond on Paramount Plus. Plus, check out all the awesome shows like Survivor, your favorite Nickelodeon shows, and so much original content on Paramount Plus. Use our link in the description to sign up for Paramount Plus today. And guess what? If you're a student, you get 50% off any Paramount Plus plan now through the end of the year if you use our link in the description to sign up. You can't beat that. Use the link in the description. Sign up for Paramount Plus and don't miss a single second of the NFL action all season long with our friends at Paramount Plus. Start streaming today, only on Paramount Plus. A little housekeeping here before I kick it to myself and the one and only Erin Grugan. This is just some underground intel for the people. If you or someone you know likes the sport of golf, I don't care if it's a professional level, you just like going out on the course and playing, whatever it may be. We are looking for new hosts for the Get in the Hole podcast. Not that Steve is going anywhere company-wise, but Steve has a new job, and he is no longer allowed to assume the hosting duties of the Get in the Hole podcast once he starts his new role, which will more than likely be in December. So we are looking for golf savants, golf lovers, golf aficionados, the common golfer, any type of golf fan, ladies, gentlemen, whomever. There will be an onboarding form in the description to fill out if you are interested in assuming the mantle of the Getting the Whole podcast. We would love to hear from you all. And it's going to be weird to not have our golf expert be our golf expert anymore and hosting the show that he essentially built from the ground up. But sometimes life happens, and I'm very happy for Steve's new job. I'm very happy that Steve is still allowed to continue doing content with us that may not be in the golf sphere. But nonetheless, if you or someone you know is a fan of the sport of golf, whether it's watching the PGA Tour, Live, TGL, what have you, or you like going out and playing golf, you play with your friends, you're just, the common man golfer, whatever it may be, any level of golf, I want you to join our team. Hit us up. Fill out the form in the description, or slide in my DMs, or slide in the Underground Sports Philadelphia DMs, or shoot us an email at undergroundsportsphi@gmail.com. Because we want to fill that role as smoothly but as quickly as possible. That way Steve has a smooth transition to his new job. We don't have any do-to-dos with his new job, and Getting the Whole can continue pushing forward into a new era. So let us know. Cheers. Erin Grugan is on the show to talk Sixers, talk Tyrese Maxey Foundation. He had his annual turkey drive, which is just so awesome. We talk about Tyrese's charity event. We talk about just him really understanding what it means to be a Philadelphia athlete and not just playing for a Philadelphia team. We talk about his 54-point performance. We talk about the resurgence of Andre Drummond, Joel Embiid's injury, Kelly Oubre's injury, what this team can do in the final stretches of November as the calendar gets set to turn to December sooner than we think, and so much more. Erin, brought to you by our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. Guys, there's no better way to stand out in the crowd, whether you're going down to Xfinity Mobile Arena to watch the Sixers, whether you're hanging out at your local watering hole, or just watching the team from home. You want to do it in a stylish and relaxing way. PHI Apparel Company is the place to do it with their unique designs for all. There's no doubt in our minds you will stand out in the crowd. You can also get official Underground Sports Philadelphia podcast merch from our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. Go to phiapparel.co, and when you go to checkout, use code UNDERGROUND to get 10% off your next merch order from our awesome pals at PHI Apparel Company. Again, that's code UNDERGROUND to get 10% off your next merch order at phiapparel.co. And stand out in the crowd with the official merch partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Erin Grugan, ladies and gentlemen, back to talk Sixers. Stoked to have Erin back on the show, and hopefully this helps the Sixers go in some winning ways. As when she came on, we started 4-0, then she came back. We lost some games, but we still kept winning. We're still above 500. Now let's hope this next appearance helps the Sixers go on a bit of a run, a bit of a surge here. So without any further ado, ladies and gents, it is indeed Erin Grugan time.
The Vineland Municipal Utilities is committed to helping your business succeed. As a community-owned utility, our focus is on service, not profit. From site planning to powering your operations, we can help you achieve your strategic goals. Whether it's a customized cost analysis of your usage needs, engineering support to ensure a smooth interconnection, or offering lower rates than neighboring utilities, we want to be your partner in creating an environment for long-term success. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season.
All right, everybody, we're back. Erin Grugan is back. We're talking hoops. We're talking Sixers. Erin, welcome back to the show. It's been a
Thanks
minute.
for having me.
But
Yeah,
we're
it has
back.
been. It has been a minute.
And in that short time that has been a minute, a lot has happened with this Sixers team, good and bad and in between, which I feel like is par for the course for this franchise over the last decade plus.
I was just gonna say, as should have probably been expected. Yeah.
I think we have to start though with the Tyrese Maxey 54 burger career high in the classic Iverson jerseys. It was just meant to be for him to set his career high in those uniforms after they give him the jersey at, the big, pomp and circumstance with his contract extension. He dresses up like Allen Iverson on Halloween. Some things are just meant to be, and Tyrese Maxey setting a career high in those uniforms was one of those things.
Absolutely. And I think it was something that, the first 14 games of the season would have said that he was on trajectory to do some sort of have a huge burst like that. He's been just absolutely incredible to start the year. And I think that game was pretty much the culmination of him at his best at pretty much every aspect of his game. And yeah, what a fun one to watch. And, came down to the end and I was like, oh man, please don't waste this.
Right.
But fortunately did not. And yeah, what a performance from him. Absolutely.
And, you just look at, like you said, the start to his season, he has been on like a generational run for a player of his caliber that I think we in Philadelphia have noticed, like, this is a superstar in the making. And now it feels like it's slowly starting to chip away at the national level, that people are recognizing that Tyrese Maxey is most definitely a superstar in this league.
For sure. You look at every time, the broadcast pulls up one of those fun stats where it's like the only players to have done this, you're looking at names within the season of like, oh, SGA has done this. Okay. That's good category to be in. And then historically with the Sixers, he's always up there with now, Allen Iverson and Wilt Chamberlain, which is like, if you want company to keep, that's just about the company you want to be compared to in every sort of circumstance. So yeah, we talked about it before about when do people start kind of paying more attention to him. And I think, he is doing what we said, which is making it kind of impossible to ignore.
And I think, when you have performances like that and you couple it with what he does in the community, you were at his foundation event, which I thought was really awesome that you got that opportunity to go and cover that. But when you're in the community as well and you're performing at the level that Maxey's performing, it's just an all-encompassing feeling that, like, that's our guy.
Absolutely. I think so the event that you're referencing, just for people who don't know, was the Tyrese Maxey Foundation's annual turkey drive. This is their 4th year and it has just continuously grown every single year. I went last year where they gave away 2,000 meals. The year before that, it was 1,000 meals. This year, they gave away 3,000 meals in North Philadelphia. And like you said, it's just one of those things where when he's thriving so much on the court and off, the most common sort of comment I got in reply to it was just, what a franchise player. Like, that is who you want wearing Philadelphia across his chest, and clearly takes it seriously. He had practice later on in the day and had to, leave the event at some point to go to practice, but wanted to be there and doesn't want these things done just in his name. He always wants to be there to show people, like he said yesterday when we talked to him, it's not about basketball. He wants people to see that he's more than just a basketball player. He's a person off the court as well, and wants to use the blessing and the position that he's in to make things better for the people around him, not only here, but back home in Dallas. So he has always been that sort of charitable player since he really got in the league. The first year was a little weird because of COVID, but since he's been able to, he has kind of hit the ground running with the Tyrese Maxey Foundation and is really just a leader on the court and off.
And I think, a lot of people give Joel Embiid flack, and I think Tyrese has learned a lot of that from Joel, quite honestly. With, like you said, 2020 was Tyrese's rookie year, and, you go back to 2020 and you look at what Joel Embiid was doing in this city, during COVID, and buying computers for kids and making sure that, Aramark employees were getting paid when there were no games going on. And I think that's some of the things that go missed or like under the radar with Joel, that he's done that since he's been here as well and has made Philadelphia his home. And he's passed like that kind of like guidebook down to Tyrese Maxey. And I think that's just a reflection of the leadership that's in that locker room from Joel to Tyrese. And you see like that mantle that Tyrese has kind of, put upon himself this year, especially with Joel being out so much. You see just kind of that like ethics passing of the torch and like what it means to be not just an athlete on the court in this city, but an athlete encompassing everything that goes on and playing with Philadelphia, or in this case, Phila, across your chest.
Yeah, I think it's something that the guys that I think come here and really get it. Obviously, this weekend, the Eagles playing the Cowboys is My Cause, My Cleats, and we have a lot of Philadelphia adjacent ones on the Eagles. But the number one that stands out is Jalen Hurts playing for the Jalen Hurts Foundation, but with the focus on Philadelphia public schools. He has put air conditioning in schools and has said basically this is a problem that shouldn't be a problem. And that's honestly pretty encompassing of Philadelphia as a city. Like, there is a lot of poverty. There is a lot of areas that don't get taken care of the way they should have. And, even just where this event was for Tyrese Maxey, like to have it in North Philadelphia, where it is unfortunately a extreme need. I mean, it keeps growing because the demand is there. It's great that he's growing to meet it. It's sad that it has to keep growing to meet demand. But yeah, and Joel Embiid with his charitable contributions to the area. I think people sometimes, like you said, he gets a lot of flack because of stuff on the court or him not being on the court. And I think people forget that, what Tyrese said, these are people that are also trying to help the areas that they play in. And that is just as impactful, if not legitimately more impactful than any sort of stat number that they put up or how many games they play. So we have a good amount of athletes in this city that seem to get it, and Tyrese Maxey is absolutely one of them.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at, you mentioned like 3,000 turkeys donated. There's going to be at minimum one kid, one mom, one dad that is now a Tyrese Maxey fan for life, because that turkey just changed their whole holiday season. It changed the trajectory of what the outlook of what the beginning of what can be a very difficult time for people can be. And it's all because of Tyrese Maxey. And you're going to have, young kids running around wanting to say, hey, I want to be the next Tyrese Maxey, not just because he can drop 54 points in a game, but because he can go out in his community and help people in need.
Exactly. Yeah. He has continuously and always credits his grandmother, who passed away a few years ago, with basically telling him when he was younger that, like, look, if you're lucky enough and blessed enough and talented enough to make it, give back, because that's the thing that's going to be important. Obviously he's putting up, different records that are going to get him in a Sixers record book. And nobody from this era of Sixers fandom is going to forget him anytime soon. But it's like you said, there's going to be a lot bigger of an impact on the 3,000 plus families that have been fed for even just one holiday than we can even imagine. So yeah, absolutely amazing event that they put on every year in this city. And always love to cover it, just because it's a stark reminder of how much it's needed in the city, but it also just shows the amount of joy that one player that has able to, capitalize on his talent and his hard work is able to pass on to the city of Philadelphia.
To kick it back to the 54-point performance too, how impressive was it that the Sixers were able to kind of like dig deep, and Maxey has that performance on the back half of a back-to-back?
Maxey, I think, is just an absolute monster. I mean, he is leading the league right now in minutes played, which I am not bragging about because I don't necessarily know it's the best idea in the long run. He's playing 40.7 minutes a night, leads the NBA, and second place is VJ Edgecombe, which we'll get to in a little bit. But just the endurance that he has, and just, I mean, he knows that this is his team now. You know, we had Joel for a little bit. Now we have Joel sidelined for almost what I would assume is a compensation injury to his other knee. Maxey knows that this is his team now, and you could see it in how he commands the offense. He's physically yelling at, you know, other players, and not in a bad way, but he's directing this team now. To be able to put up that sort of performance, less just amazing and efficient. You know, it's when you're tired, efficiency is probably the first thing to go. Shot 60% from the floor, and I think 40% from long range. Had, you know, a couple turnovers. I think only one was really bad towards the end of regulation, but man, just what a performance to put up on a night that I think most players would be like, oh my God, please don't put me back in, coach. I can't do this.
And I saw on Twitter there was a NFL scoregami adjacent type thing for the NBA that like no NBA players ever had the stat line that Tyrese Maxey had. Like,
yeah,
and the fact that he got to do that against Doc Rivers is pretty funny.
Oh yeah, we had some fun with talking about that. Obviously, with you know, if there's anyone that he would probably want to have that sort of night in front of, it's the guy that basically benched him and then sort of lied and said it was Tyrese Maxey's idea, which nothing about that is congruous with Maxey's mentality. But yeah, I mean, just the entire stat line, not even the 54 points. He had 5 boards, 9 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks, which Tyrese's defense, you know, in years past was never his strongest suit by any means. He has had great hands on defense to start this season, and really great timing on some come from behind blocks, and just, you know, it really is amazing. We talked about what kind of jump can he make even at this point. He's making it in basically any little gap that his game had. He is absolutely filling this season.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable. And like, my dad is a casual Sixers fan. Like, he is like, he'll go to a game here and there with me, but he turns on games and he is just enamored with Tyrese Maxey. And it's so fun to just like watch him just like swoon over this point guard from Kentucky, from Dallas, that just has all of Philadelphia enamored. It's so funny to just like, anytime I bring up his name, he's like, he's so good. He's so good, man. He's the future.
And it's the developments he's made too. I mean, my mom is not a basketball fan, but now is a basketball adjacent fan, just because I spend so much time talking about the Sixers and watching them and everything. And even she noted like little things that he's developed over the years, where when he first started playing, he was so fast, but had zero body control. Like every single layup finish for him, he was flying past the stanchion and just like into the media section, like just, and now he's so under control to a degree that it's almost scary with some of the circus shot finishes he's able to make happen. But, you know, just every little thing that this kid has done, kid now 25, but since he was a kid first coming here, he has just gotten better and better, physically stronger. I mean, if you look at old clips, it really shows through just how much he has bulked up over the past couple of years. He's still not a big guy by any means in the NBA, but I mean, he went from a pretty not, you know, toned but skinny kid to now he's very built, and it shows in how he's able to muscle his way through and control his body so much more. But yeah, he I think has charmed most people that have watched a Sixers game in the past couple of years.
To go from Tyrese Maxey to what has been one of the weirdest, slowest, and of course very on-brand Sixers post-injury starts to a season. I saw you tweet about it. I've been talking about it. Jared McCain finally hits his first bucket, and it looked like he like hit the lottery. To which I posted the clip on our social media, and I synced it up with that dubstep remix of Creed. And it lined up.
I mean, appropriate for how it probably felt for him. I mean, so much of the return from, I mean, I think people disregard it because they think, oh, well, he just had a thumb injury in the off season. Like, what's the big deal? And it's like, he hadn't played in 11 months. Like, he had the knee injury last year that ended his amazing rookie season. And even with how put together mentally McCain seems to be, like it's got to be a mental game when you come back from that long and you can't sink a shot. I mean, it's got to be the human element coming in thinking, oh my God, I'm never going to see that ball go into that hoop again. Like it is never going to happen. I think the move to sending him to Delaware for a few days while the Sixers were playing I think that was the best move you could have done, because he needed more time. I still think he needs still more time. You know, it's tough to get back to playing in 3-minute stints. It's also hard for Nick Nurse to play him longer when he's not making any shots or things like that. So it's a tough situation for sure. But I think him seeing that shot go in, he hits a triple after that. I think seeing those sorts of shots go through the hoop, hopefully is enough to start pushing him to the next step with his recovery and with playing a little bit more. And as he's able to actually contribute a little more, Nick Nurse can give him a little bit more leash, and it hopefully just builds on itself. But yeah, definitely a rough start coming back for Jared McCain. But again, I don't know exactly what people were expecting after an 11-month hiatus from games,
especially with the injuries that he was dealing with. We talked about it, you know, when it was on the horizon that he was coming back, and it's like he's got to learn how to like move and cut with a leg brace on. Ala talked about it on the broadcast, saying, you know, that's a huge brace he has on that, like it limits your mobility. And then on top of that, learning his shot again, coming off of a thumb injury, and like the release point of where you want the ball in your hand and things not feeling awkward for you. It's a full like body culmination of almost relearning how to play basketball to a degree.
Oh, for sure. You have pretty much an extra appendage on your knee. And, you know, that doesn't even just affect mobility. You're talking about the shot. Think about going up for a jump shot and one of your legs is suddenly 5 pounds heavier. You know, it's going to pull your body. It's going to pull your center of gravity. I think he is just playing with a sleeve now, not a full brace, which I bet is a big relief for him. He pretty much said out loud, I hate playing with the brace. It's just difficult. It's just a really hard thing to maneuver. And if you start compensating for that, I imagine it starts issues for when you then take the brace off and have to relearn yet again how to just shoot normally. But yeah, I think the emotions of hitting that first shot and then getting a triple and kind of getting into the game more, hopefully all on the right track to him getting a little bit more minutes when Nick Nurse can, and it'll build on itself. But yeah, definitely been a journey for McCain.
It is such a Sixers post-injury start to a season if we've ever seen one. But to kind of bounce off of that too, you know, VJ Edgecombe, I was just thinking about this when we were talking about obviously the young guys on this team, like obviously had like that unbelievable debut, but I think everyone who is kind of normal minded realized that's not going to be an every game thing. How have you assessed kind of the first month of VJ Edgecombe's rookie season and just the way that he, even if he's not putting up monster points, the way that he finds himself in the right place at the right time, whether it's to, you know, dish an assist to somebody, get a clutch rebound, whatever it may be, he always just feels like he has like this spidey sense about him to know where to be on the court at the right time to make the perfect play happen in a big time moment.
For sure. And I think clutch is the word for it, where it's like he's maybe not going to put up 30 points a night in his first 15 games as an NBA player. We're talking about, you know, a kid, literally, pretty much a kid, literally. Yeah, the debut, I knew when it happened was like, oh no, because this is great, but holy crap, people are going to think that he's supposed to do this every night. And if he doesn't, he's a failure. And it's just not realistic. He's still one of the top rookies this season. I think there's a multitude of things at play. One, him just being a new player. Two, I do think when Joel Embiid does play, he has a tendency to kind of defer the ball. It's something we've seen a lot with younger players when they play with somebody like Joel Embiid, that caliber, a former MVP, things like that. Not as aggressive on the ball, probably a little bit more afraid to miss a shot instead of passing it off to him. All mental things that he's got to work on. But the one thing that always stands out to me with him playing is if he scores 10 points in a game, they are usually 10 points in the most clutch time that they are needed. He just really steps up when it's necessary, and people that are just going to stat watch are going to think, he's fine. He's but I think he is making the right plays at the right moments, that those other shots, they're going to start falling. He's going to get more confidence, start getting downhill more. And once he starts doing that, those numbers will go up. But I'm happy with seeing his performance in the times that they really need him to step up. There was a game recently where he had kind of a rough first half, and I think Nick Nurse actually said, I got on him pretty hard at halftime, but he responded and then played great in the fourth quarter. That's something you don't see out of a lot of 20-year-old rookies. A lot of basketball, a lot of sports is mental. And, you're not seeing those shots go in the first half and then your coach is ripping into you. To have the mental fortitude to say, okay, well, I still have to take the shots that I'm given in this second half. Even if I miss them, I still got to take them. I can't become scared to shoot or anything like that. And he's putting up buckets when they really need them in a lot of situations. So I don't worry about VJ Edgecombe. He has fundamentals beyond his years. He seems to have basketball knowledge beyond his years. And again, the Sixers are in a weird spot almost always with injuries and things like that, but I think he'll fall into a place a little bit more and understand his role a little bit more. And those numbers will start coming back up.
And like you said, like the clutch, it always feels like he's getting some tough basket, a tough rebound, a perfect assist in the fourth quarter.
Exactly.
And that's what you want from somebody like you said, who has like that basketball IQ. It almost feels like his basketball IQ is ahead of where his like actual basketball skill set is right now, which I feel like is rare for a lot of players, where like he just knows where to be and what to do. And while sometimes it doesn't come through with a shot going up and going in when he needs it to, he knows that like that was the shot to take.
Absolutely. Yeah. You don't see him forcing things that aren't there very often. The only thing I would say he forces, but not, is every once in a while he goes up for a monster dunk. But honestly, I think if he goes up for those 5 times and one poster comes out of it, that's such an energy boost, and it's such a mentality boost to the whole Sixers that I think those sorts of things are worth it if it's there. And he usually draws a foul even if he's not making those. So I really don't worry about him just yet, because like you said, his IQ is there, the basketball fundamentals are there, and those numbers are going to come up. He is, again, in his 15th or 16th NBA game. I think a little leeway is allowed even for a number 3 pick, because he's far from horrible. He's he's not detrimental. He's not anything like that. So, give him a little more time for those numbers to climb up the way stat watchers want them to. So,
speaking of positives, the Andre Drummond Renaissance Tour has been like the greatest thing I've ever witnessed. He feels like he's turned back the clock. He's found a 3-point shot, and everyone and their mother loves to call him Unk, and I feel vehemently offended because Andre Drummond and I are the same age.
Well, it's like that's one of my favorite tweets of all time. That's like the baseball announcer being like, "Look at him go! It's a miracle. The oldest player in the league, 35," and you're just like, "Oh dear God." But absolutely with Andre Drummond, I think it points to a lot of things. It points to just how hurt he probably was playing last year, because he's not even moving the same. It's not just being fundamentally better. Like, he just is moving better. He's still, an older big in the league. But man, if you could get 10 boards a night, I mean, that's exactly what they want him to do. And I think that's another factor in it, is like, he knows his role now. Like, he's not Joel Embiid's backup in the sense of they want him to be Joel Embiid. It's no, stand your 7-foot butt under the rim, get as many boards as you can, put them back up if you're on offense. He's he has just been playing absolutely stellar. I think he's got 6 double-doubles already. He had 5 in a row or something like that. Just insurmountable impact when you have somebody that can rebound like that on a team where Joel Embiid is sidelined, where Adembona is now sidelined. To have somebody be able to rebound on the Sixers has always been a need. So, yeah, he has just been monumental. And of course, the threes they're always fun. They're a little bit of one of those things where he throws it up and you're like, no, yes, because it goes in. But like you're like, oh God, But career high 7 threes already this season. So I have a feeling he'll keep shooting those every once in a while. But man, he has been just a turnaround that I don't think anyone really expected, because I think even the idea of keeping him this year over the offseason was like, really? And now it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I see why.
Yeah. And I mean, he has 6 double-digit rebound games so far this season. Yeah. And this even goes back to when Drummond was like in his prime, quote unquote, in Detroit, and like Joel Embiid was living rent-free in his head. It never felt like he had like that toughness gene in him when he was in Detroit. And like, even in multiple stints in Philly, like, it never felt like he had that aggressor in him to go up and get those rebounds. And this year, for whatever reason, something has clicked for him, in my opinion, that like he's not afraid to go and get those tough rebounds. He's going up for those second, third, fourth chance opportunities. And I think that's been a huge like development in his game at age 32 that doesn't happen for almost any player at this point in their career. Most players that are veterans like this, who have been around the block, kind of just stick to their ways, what has worked for them to keep them in the league that long. And yet here's Andre Drummond 10 years into his career, 10 years plus actually, and he's making positive changes to his game that's going to keep him in the league that much longer if he continues, playing the way that he is.
Absolutely. It really is. It's night and day from last year, which is why I say like it has to be some sort of an indication of just how hurt he was last year, like I said. And just, I think, falling into his role, like we talked a lot about people on the Sixers this season seeming to at least understand their role a lot more. Kelly Oubre Jr. being one of them, which is why I think he's had such a stellar start. Now a sideline for a bit, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but that sort of thing where it's like these players that have always had these certain skill sets and would show bits and pieces of are now just really locking into those things and are doing those things. And it has to be some sort of understanding of this is your role now. Like, don't worry about everything else. Even with fouls, I mean, he fouled out of the last game, but he before that really wasn't having issues with fouling. And I think even fouling out of that game, that's going to happen when you're in those 50-50 rebound balls, 15 times a game. It really is amazing to watch. And it has been fun to watch Andre Drummond. And I will be the first to admit that when they first subbed him in, game 2 or 3 or whatever, I was like, oh, we're at Andre Drummond minutes already, part of the season. And man, he said, I'm going to show you and make you look like an idiot real fast. But I'm the first to admit that. And I'm sure a lot of Sixers fans were, because, last year was tough with him. And for whatever reason, whether it was injuries or whatever else that might have been at play there. But man, this year, every time he comes in, I'm like, cool, we're good for, rebounding for the next 5 minutes, or, having a couple good, even getting passes out in transition, being aware when he makes those rebounds, where to get the ball. Like it's huge for the Sixers right now.
And it feels like if he just continues on the trajectory he's on this season, a lot of people are going to forget some of the down moments in years past when he was on the Sixers, and Andre Drummond has a real opportunity to turn himself into like a cult classic Sixer.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And I think he is the perfect type of that player where it's like, we just want a big guy like that to do great, so we have an excuse to cheer for him and everything. And just the way he's getting up for blocks and everything like that. Yeah, I think he's turned the tide on how a lot of people have looked at him very quickly, and deservedly so. Like I said, it's starting the season with, 5 double-doubles in a row, things like that. It's another one of those things where you can't ignore it.
Matty Cord like rolling his R's like he's playing a drum whenever he announces
The drum
his
roll,
name.
yeah.
It's so good. That's why Matty Cord's the best.
Absolutely.
But yeah, shout out to Andre Drummond for just, holding it down during this weird time that Embiid has this extended absence, but an absence that's no more. Paul George is back and seems mostly like, hey, this is what we wanted from Paul George when he came back. He seems comfortable out there, started a game pretty damn perfect, and if this is what we're going to get from Paul George, sure, the contract is not exactly what you want from that kind of production. But at the end of the day, there were people talking about, oh, we don't need Paul George back. If you're going to get that type of production from a player who can post up, shoot threes, looks like his shot is back to being fluid because he's not injured, I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah, and playing great defense on top of it. It's so funny. We talked about, I think, that idea of like, what are we even going to do with Paul George? I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, and I think that's judging based off of last year, which we've said before. I think last year, it's really hard to judge any player off of last year, except for maybe the players that had come in and looked better than we had even expected in a situation where the season was basically over, like your Quentin Grimes sort of thing. But I mean, to judge Paul George, a 9-time All-Star off of last year, where he had hyperextended his knee before the season even started, and then hyperextended the same knee, and then had issues with the groin injury on top of it and things like that. It's just not the way to judge a player, I don't think. And the thing is, you saw it the other night. He had 20 points. He had a couple of great assists. He's playing great defense, and he looks extremely comfortable. This is not a player that looks like he is coming back from injury, not on the agility side of it, not his movement. I have not seen him wince even once in regards to his knee or anything like that. And he's still on a minutes restriction. That's the thing. He had 20 points in 23 minutes, it might have been the other night, and they're not going to let him go past, I don't think, that 25 mark for a little bit, or at least that was the case before. We'll see how it starts to grow. But, I mean, he is doing exactly what you want to see from a guy coming back from injury. I mean, we talked about the other side of it where you see guys come back and really struggle to get back up to game readiness, or they have something like a brace that really holds them back, or any sort of thing like this. And I know people don't like a drawn out absence, but if it means that when the player returns, they are this ready to return, I think that's actually the correct way to go. And he's looked absolutely great. And I think obviously overshadowed by a 54-point game from Tyrese Maxey. But I mean, starting the game with the Sixers' first 11 points and then assisting the next points for VJ Edgecombe on an alley-oop, that's exactly what you want to see. You want to see him hitting his shots, not completely relying on, his ISO game, getting the ball out to his teammates, but taking the shots when they're there and sinking them. I don't know what more you could ask for Paul George on top of the defense that everyone knows he can play.
And I know we joke about Podcast P, but he had VJ on like right after the draft, and he was very outspoken in terms of he was happy that the Sixers were able to draft VJ Edgecombe. And I think that singular game alone showed you like the early chemistry that those two are building together. And I think we're going to see Paul George, continue to build upon that, especially in Kelly's absence with his injury. We're going to see a lot more of that build. And I think that's only a positive for a player like VJ Edgecombe, where not only has he obviously gotten an opportunity to play with Joel Embiid so far, but now he's going to get to play with somebody who respects his game, wanted him here. Paul George obviously chose to sign here. Like, he's got a mentorship there that is going to be, I think, very valuable for his development.
Absolutely. I mean, what more could you ask for in a mentor? And, I think people cling to that Podcast P thing because it's funny, but it's also because Paul George, other than not being able to play due to injuries, hasn't given, the people that hate him a whole lot of ammunition to use. So that's the thing they have to use, which I'm like, that is because he is actually a good teammate on all accounts and is clearly getting in VJ Edgecombe's ear early. And and hopefully continues with that. Again, there's nothing better for a guy in his 15th game in the NBA to have a 9-time All-Star say, hey, I see the potential in you, and I've seen it since the day we drafted you, and here's what I think could really help you take it to the next level. Yeah, there's no downside there for me.
When it comes to a lot of these guys, like, knowing and understanding their roles, we've talked about this a little bit too, but it does feel like Nick Nurse finally has like full control of this roster, and like his coaching style is kind of shining through for once, which I'm very happy for him, that it feels like he's also getting like more comfortable with, coaching this team and knowing like, hey, my fingerprints are finally all over, the play calling and what this team is going to be capable of. And it feels like those type of role players, the Drummonds, the Oubre Juniors, the Quentin Grimes, like, even Trendon Walker, like you have guys that, or Trendon Watford, I'm sorry. I mixed him and Jabari Walker together. That would be one hell of a player. But it feels like they've also bought in to understanding their roles for the first time. And, whether they're first year Sixers or not, like, it feels like that communication line is there, and it's Nick Nurse finally gets to coach, and he doesn't have to worry about all the off-court nonsense and being the talking head for the front office. And it's allowing him to kind of just be in a groove and be a coach finally here.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's definitely true that I think that this is the year where you can kind of actually judge Nick Nurse as a coach of the Philadelphia Sixers. Definitely some things that I think have warranted a little bit of criticism starting early. One, obviously, being just the playing minutes. And he's in a tight spot with injuries and things like that. But, you have the number 1 and number 2 highest minutes averaging players right now in Tyrese Maxey with 40.7. And then VJ Edgecombe, a rookie, playing, I think, 37 and a half minutes a night. Those are sorts of things that you obviously worry about being sustainable. You have VJ Edgecombe questionable for Sunday against the Miami Heat because of some quad tightness. Can I say that's because he's playing 37 minutes a night? Not definitively. Would I be surprised? No. Things like that. I think some of their possessions out of timeouts, especially in the clutch, have been a little suspect, but you never know how that is, whether that's something breaking up on the court or he's not drawing up the right plays in the timeouts. You never know. But for all those negative things and valid criticisms, you have to look at the developments of these players that are really falling into a role. Like you said, Trendon Watford, you look at Dominic Barlow, you look at Andre Drummond, you look at Kelly Oubre Jr., all players that seem to, over the offseason or coming into this team, have said, okay, this is what I'm here to do. I'm not expected to do more than that. I don't need to try to play hero ball more than that. And that's got to be a testament to leadership from Nick Nurse, and honestly, just keeping the boat going after last season. I remember watching some off-season workouts and things like that, which are obviously edited for viewing from fans and things like that. But it just seems like there was a good energy around it for a team that had pretty much the worst year you can imagine, minus getting the number 3 draft pick out of it. And I do think, that some of that credit has to go to Nick Nurse. So yeah, I'm curious to see how he starts handling the minutes a little bit more as we get deeper into the season. It's a very long season, as we know, but yeah, definitely the year where I feel like we'll be able to see Nick Nurse as a coach of the 76ers and not just, the extended PR arm of the Sixers.
Yes, he finally has moved from the front office side of the building and is back to his
They
coaching
freed
office.
him, yes.
Yes. Speaking of Kelly Oubre Jr., big time injury to this team. And obviously we'll talk about Embiid too, but now 2 guys who were in your initial, starting 5 to start the year out. I think Kelly's absence, not that Joel's absence isn't a massive thing, because it is, but I think Kelly's absence, for the way that he started the season, the way that he has really like complemented Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Quentin Grimes, like he's been that perfect complementary player to those guys. And now him being out for what feels like, reevaluated in 2 weeks, cue it up. How brutal is that to not only the starting five, but just the depth of this team? And, it's fortunate that Paul George is back now as soon as this happens. So you kind of have a little bit of alleviating there, but it also kind of like diminishes to quote Keith Pompey, the flow of this starting five and what it has been trying to do, especially, Embiid goes out, now Kelly's out. So now you only have 3 of your original starting 5 from the start of the season. How do you assess the Kelly Oubre Jr. injury, and what do you think is going to kind of be the course of action while he's out?
Yeah, I agree with you in the fact that it feels more impactful than the Joel Embiid sidelining. And I think that's because, like we've said so many times before, this season is really about building sustainable basketball for the Sixers. And Kelly Oubre is part of that. That is a guy that you expect to have out on the court every single night, basically. Joel Embiid, I think, whether fans want to admit it or not, he's under contract. And I think the Sixers went into this season like, look, you're under contract for the next bazillion years, it seems. You play. If you're hurt, you don't play. That's how we're going to have to operate. We can't operate as a Joel Embiid-centric team because it's just not going to work. Kelly Oubre is a guy that they expected probably to be in the starting 5 every single night. So it really is impactful. I saw the play. You could see him plant his leg weird and hyperextended a little bit. I would rather them be cautious, honestly. Like we've said, the NBA season is a long one. If they want to take 2 weeks and say, let this knee, and LCLs can be a serious injury, let that rest for a little bit. Hopefully have him back in a couple weeks. But yeah, absolutely monumental. Just the scoring burst that he has been providing, and what a guy that has absolutely fallen into his role. Because his biggest issue, I think, going to years past would be when he would try to go past that role and play a little bit too much hero ball, or just try to do beyond, what the scope of Kelly Oubre on the court should be doing. And this year, he just is in the right places at the right time, is going for the right things at the right time, is hitting threes, but also driving aggressively. Good timing to have back Paul George for sure at the time, but you would love to have both of them. Yeah, I mean, he was putting up 20 something points a night. Anytime you lose a player like that, it's going to be an issue, but especially a player like Kelly Oubre that just really is one of those energy boost guys. Just even if he had the same skill set as Paul George, it's a different level of energy that he brings. He's the guy that's going to go for those big dunks, and he's going to blow kisses to the crowd, and he's going to rile up the team and things like that. And those things matter. So I think they're really going to have to try to find a way to make up for the loss of offensive burst that Kelly was providing. And it's probably not going to be Tyrese scoring 54 points every single night. So they're going to have to find some way to fill those gaps. But again, hopefully you have Paul George play some more minutes. Hopefully you have Jared McCain scoring some more points. Hopefully you get some of those guys back to where you want them while Kelly Oubre can heal up. I hope they don't rush him back. I would rather see him sit for 4 weeks now and play the rest of the season than sit for 2 weeks and then hyperextend that knee, because it's exactly what we saw with Paul George last year. Not saying if you rest for 4 weeks, it can't happen, but you know what I mean? Just like, let's not rush anyone back for December basketball. Let's find a way to fill those gaps instead, or at least just sustain until he's back, that sort of thing.
Especially for a player who's like, I think this is the right term, like as springy as he is.
Yeah.
Like, just his ability to like get up, and we've seen the flashy dunks from him this year, and like the power dunks from him, and the way that he just gets up in the air and is going after rebounds, and you want that knee to be as healthy as possible.
Exactly. Yeah. He's an energy guy. He's not somebody that you want out there limping. He's not somebody you want out there if he's not at full Kelly Oubre energy level. Because again, that's just such a big part of what he brings off the bench when he comes in. Just a massive energy guy, a massive electric boost basically to the team. And yeah, not a guy you want limping out there just to get him back out there for sure.
Speaking of injury, Joel Embiid, extended absence, the opposite knee. I think it's overcompensating for the other knee,
Yeah.
which I think is bound to happen even to a non-athletic regular person.
Mhm.
But obviously not ideal to not have him available for who knows how long. But I think in a similar vein and even more heightened vein, I'd rather Joel just rest. I'd rather him just kind of figure things out, talk with whoever the medical professional that he's been dealing with the team, any outside medical professionals, to learn how to, kind of not overcompensate on that knee
Mhm.
and get that mental aspect right, and then kind of have him come back, because the last thing we need is both knees for Joel Embiid to be, at a non-playable level, and then we're without Joel for who knows how long, because that's where
Mhm.
we are right now. We don't know how long, but I'd rather him fully figure out what he needs to do to make sure he's not putting all of that massive human on one knee, and then make sure the other knee is good, to a playing degree level, and then come back. I hope the Sixers are listening to this. Do not rush him back. Just put him in a hyperbaric chamber, let him rest,
Mhm.
and when he and you and every medical professional under the sun in one of the greatest medical cities in the world say it's good for Joel Embiid to come back and play, that's when it's good for Joel Embiid to come back and play.
And yeah, for what it's worth, the team still considers him day to day. They did the MRI when this first happened, when he first started experiencing the soreness in the right knee, and there was no structural damage according to the team. And it's basically what it sounds like is exactly what you said. It sounds like it is a compensation injury and that his knee is just sore and swelling. It's funny because so many people clown on him for not playing, and oh, of course he's out. Of course he's out because his right knee is sore, yada yada. And it's the same people that are going to complain when they put him out there and he can't move. Um, I am in the boat of, at this point with Joel Embiid, why would you force him out there again? I think you're trying this year to build. How do you play without him? If he's there, great. If he's not, that's the focus. Um, they have been Joel has been playing hurt for a very long time, um, to varying results. And I think at this point in his career, at this point in his health, there's just no reason to force him back. I understand the frustration with, just, oh, he's day to day, but he's been out for 7 games, or, that's week to week, that's this. And it's probably the realistic, it's not. It's probably day to day. It is probably waking up and seeing how that knee feels. And um, I think it's just a patience game to an extent. But if he's not on the court hurt, I'm happy. Like you said, I'm in the same boat as you. I don't think there's any reason to be sending out a limping Joel Embiid right now. They try to think of how to word this. It's not that they don't need him. It's not that
Right.
by any means, but they also need to know how to play without him. And I think
Correct.
at this point, that's where the focus is. So there's just no need to be forcing him back out there, especially if he can't even walk or run or whatever the case may be. He is participating in practices. Hopefully that is headed in the right direction. And I like the word from the doctors, which is that we think he just needs a little bit more time. I think that's a good indication. It's an indication. They said he's progressing. I know we've had a number of those sorts of buzz phrases over the last few years between ramping up and progressing and inching towards a return and yada yada. But I just don't see a need to rush in this situation.
Every Woj draft night adjective under the sun.
Yeah, exactly.
Last thing here, Erin, it's always great having you on the show. 5 games, 4 of them are at home over the next 5. Obviously, as we're recording this on Sunday morning, Sixers play at 1:00 down at what I have like to call the cable box, Xfinity Mobile Arena, against the Miami Heat. And then on Tuesday, they're home against the Magic for NBA Cup group stage play. Then they go to Brooklyn for the final group stage play of the NBA Cup. Then they're home against the Hawks, and then their first game of December is home against the Wizards, and then they're also home to close out the long home stand, if you will, against the Warriors on Thursday, December 4th. But 6 of their next 7 are at home. Yeah, there you go, kids. Make the edit. 6, 7. Of those 7 games, where do you kind of see where things lie? Obviously, no Joel Embiid, no Kelly Oubre Jr., but where do you kind of assess these next 7 games and how they can kind of come out of this? Where do they finish the month of November? And kind of where you pin them in the Eastern Conference standings once the calendar turns from November to December, and then obviously the 2 games in December being against Washington and Golden State.
Yeah, I think they have a number of winnable games coming up. The Heat are having some injury issues of their own. The Nets are the Nets this year. I think also just considering how long of a month that this has been for the Sixers, they had 3 back-to-backs. They've already had 4 back-to-backs this season, 3 of which were this month. A lot of games this month. I think some time at home, especially around Thanksgiving. I think this can be really good for them, and hopefully not a break by any means, but a little bit of break from the back-to-backs and the travel and everything like that. I think there's a couple of winnable games coming up for sure. Tough with the injuries, but I think honestly right now with the NBA, you'd be hard pressed to find a team that's not getting pretty hammered by the injuries right now. I got to see what the Eastern Conference standings are this morning because I have not checked. All right, so we're sitting at 6th at 9-6. Pistons all the way up in first at 14-2.
What a team.
Yeah, 100%. And honestly, fun to watch. Just have some amazing talent on their team. Let's see. We got the Sixers coming up. All right. So we got the Heat coming up today. I think that's a very winnable one. The Magic's a little tougher, but I do think winnable. The Nets, I think they should beat. The Hawks, I think, should beat. So they have a couple of winnable games coming up, but I really think the main factor is just going to be getting these guys an extended period of time at home, only having one away game that isn't very far. Get these guys a rest. It has been a long month. A lot of guys playing a lot of minutes, as we said, especially with the injuries. Try to get a couple wins out of this. Hopefully they can see some family and relax over holiday. And get to December, because we knew November was going to be an absolute slog of a month. But it's like we said before, I think 9-6 is nothing for this team to be ashamed of. They've had a couple games. They've had more than a couple games that were close late. Had some they could have won that they didn't win. But I think this team is playing pretty good basketball, all things considered. Again, I think a lot of people might have some unrealistic expectations. Philly fans having unrealistic expectations, which I know is
Shocker.
As a Philly fan, I can say I've never once had unrealistic expectations.
What are those?
Yeah, exactly. But I think they have a couple of winnable games. Stay close to home, get some rest, and get ready for another long month of NBA basketball. But I think they're in a good spot right now. I think this has been about as good of injuries aside, as good of a start that you could have asked for this season.
Yeah, and they've won some games that in years past, not even including last year, but years before that, they wouldn't have won.
Yep.
There's some games that they should have won, and I think they know that. Mm-hmm. And there's always room for improvement, and I think that's good. And when you're sitting here, calendar getting close to turning to December, and you're in 6th place in the Eastern Conference, you're out of the play-in zone for the time being.
Above
that's
500.
Pretty damn great.
Yeah,
pretty damn great.
I mean, I said it was kind of a cop-out going into the season that I wanted them to just be 500, basically 500 basketball. That'll probably be more than enough to make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference this year. But honestly, if they're staying above 500 and there's these games that even if they don't eke out the win, you're like, man, they really could have won that, especially early in the season. I think that's a good sign because those are the things you can tighten up as the season goes on, and maybe more of those clutch games turn to W's instead of L's, and you're seeing that more, forcing overtime, getting the wins however they have to get them. But I think they're in a good spot right now in that situation.
One final thing, over under 1.5 more Tyrese Maxey 50-plus point games this season.
Oh, I'll take the over on that. I'll take the over on that for sure. I don't think we've seen. I think he has the potential to put up at least two more. Just the way that he is able to take over a game, and especially now with having some improved defense, he's getting a couple points off steals, things like that. Those things add up. If he gets a more friendly whistle, which I have been asking for this kid for about 5 years, that's beyond within his capabilities. I mean, he's averaging what, 30 something, that's just a couple good nights for him to have another 50 burger. I think he could have at least 2 more this season. I'll take the over on that one.
Yeah, he is averaging right now 33.4 points.
Exactly, which, I mean, 17 points more is a lot, but it's also, when you consider the fact that that's his average, it's well within his capabilities for sure. You get he starts getting that 3 ball sinking too, and he starts taking them from the logo. That adds up real quick. So I'll take the over on that. I think he could have at least 2 more.
He's shooting 47.3 from the field, 42.1 from 3.
Yeah, obviously, not much more you could ask from long range. That's it. Absolutely killer. And when he mixes that with being able to get downhill like he did the last game, I don't think they know when to stop him, because it's like, okay, do we block the drive or do we let him take the shot from the logo that he's probably going to make? So yeah, I think he could get a couple more 50 burgers this year. I'll go with 2.
And maybe that whistle starts coming now that Brian Windhorst waxed poetic about Tyrese Maxey after his 50.
Yeah, hey, the more they talk about it, the more people watching. It can't hurt, can it?
Hey,
he can't get a worse whistle.
Exactly, because the whistle doesn't exist. So
no, it doesn't seem to some nights for sure, man.
Erin, you are the best. Make sure you guys are following everything Erin's doing at Liberty Ballers. Follow her on social media. She is the best. She's our go-to for Sixers coverage. So, Erin, we'll have you back on soon, but thanks for hopping on. Hope you have a great holiday, and hopefully the Sixers keep winning and everybody gets healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a great holiday. Thanks for having me, and go Sixers.
Shout out to Erin for hopping on the show. She's truly the best. Make sure you guys check out everything she is doing at Liberty Ballers and follow her on the socials. She live tweets a bunch of the Sixers games and is truly an awesome follow. So make sure you're following Erin on the socials and check out all the stuff she's got going on at Liberty Ballers, including her awesome write-up about Tyrese Maxey's turkey drive, which we will have linked in the description of the show. Before we keep it pushing, I want to talk to you guys about our awesome pals over at Kenwood Beer, the official beer partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's a refreshing light beer, just 4.1% ABV, 120 calories, just 8 grams of carbs. You guys can go to kenwoodbeer.com, use the Kenny Finder to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia, New Jersey, Delaware, Pittsburgh, and Maryland areas. You can also find Kenwood Beer at your local liquor stores in those markets. Again, that's kenwoodbeer.com. Must be 21 or older to do so. And as always, guys, please drink responsibly. The Philadelphia Union. I mean, there's very few times, and I get that I am a relatively new, invested Union fan. I've been very casual for years. I'm invested in this team, okay? And I have been for probably since Rona era, old Pandy Wandy. I care, and especially 2022. When they went to the Cup final. This season felt different, okay? They were methodically beating teams. They were playing elite defense in most of their games. Obviously, they have great goaltending, Hall of Fame goaltending, and they win the Supporters' Shield. First time since 2020 that they do that. They clinch home field throughout the MLS Cup Playoffs in doing so. And it just felt like the way that this team was being coached, the way that they were playing, and the home field advantage was going to be enough for this team to finally get over the hump and really be in the mix and potentially host the MLS Cup final. And that's not the case because the Union choke. The Union choked. They lose 1-0 to New York City FC. Multiple chances to win this game. Multiple opportunities squandered. Andre Blake gets injured in this game. And it just felt like the moment was too big for the first time all year for this team. And that's why it was embarrassing. Because the moment never really felt too big for this team at all this year. Even when they had blips on the radar. Even when they lost 7-0 to Vancouver. Even when they, lost that game after the hard-fought win in the U.S. Open Cup against the New York Red Bulls, and then they end up losing to the New York Red Bulls in their next match. It never felt like the moment was ever too big for this team this year. They won some gutsy games against teams that typically give them fits. And it just slipped through their fingers. And it was on the back of a former homegrown talent that they sold to New York City FC for $750,000, who is probably going to be Team USA's goalie in the World Cup. And he beats you in your house, and you're going home. And why does it hurt this much for the Union? That's because they're a team that operates like a small market. We're in Philadelphia, one of the largest cities in the world, but we're operating like a small market team. That's kind of been the mindset of this ownership from the jump. And now a team that won a franchise record in amount of games, a team that won the Supporters' Shield, is going to more than likely look drastically different next year. And you let an opportunity that was there for the taking slip through your fingers. I don't care that if on the other side Messi and friends were waiting. Messi and friends were going to have to come to a cold, frigid Subaru Park on Friday if you won this game. And it stings, it hurts, it's disappointing, it's embarrassing. And I might be overreacting to a degree, but I feel like a lot of people feel this way about this exit. To not be able to score once on your home field in the postseason, not in general, but just in this game, you could not score once. In a winner-take-all. This is a win and survive in advance. As stupid as the MLS Cup playoff format is, you knew that this game was survive in advance. It's a one and done the rest of the way. 2 weeks off should not have killed all of this momentum for the Union. You had an emotional shootout win in the first game against Chicago, and then you wiped the floor with them in the second, and you got confidence. You were feeling good. And then all of a sudden, time off, and you turn into a pumpkin. I don't know, man. It felt like this was supposed to be the year for the Union. Everything was coming up their way. And they squandered an opportunity. They squandered one of the best opportunities that this club, I think, will ever get. Aside from 2022. to potentially go and win a championship. And it sucks. I don't know if they and that's the thing, that now there's so many just different questions that I have, and that I'm sure many of you have about this team, whether or not they overachieved, whether or not they, there's going to be so many off-season questions. And it's such a short off-season because of how stupidly long the MLS season is. I'm bummed, quite frankly. I'm bummed. This was the year I made my first appearance at a Union game. I fully bought in. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to return to Subaru Park. It's one of my favorite stadiums in general. But this one sucks. Sucks big time. And I just don't know where you go from here. I don't know what the answer is, and I know it's year one of Bradley Carnell's project with the Union. Hopefully his message reached everyone in the locker room, and they want to run this back, and ownership will allow them to run it back, but I have my doubts. But nonetheless, they still won a trophy this year. Set records that I don't think any of us expected in year one of a brand new head coach after a legendary run from Jim Curtin. And now a long, long fucking off season begins in terms of what's to come. Not long in days, but long in questions. That diatribe about the Philadelphia Union brought to you by our awesome pals at Biñho. Guys, you know we love Biñho here at Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's the next big tabletop game for your man caves, your tailgates, your she sheds, your parties. I'm going to be whipping the Biñho board out on Thanksgiving, on Black Friday before the Birds play. It is paper football meets foosball for the next big tabletop flicking experience. Get your officially licensed MLS, Premier League, Serie A, PSG, so many boards. Philadelphia Union. Get your custom boards. Get the boards that the Biñho boys are dropping, what feels like all the time. Get your Biñho boards today. Perfect gift this holiday season. And when you go to shop, make sure you shop with our link in the description. Shop Biñho. You can get awesome shirts that they have on their website too. Shop with Biñho using our link in the description. That way that Biñho knows you're coming from us. And when you go to checkout, use code BiñhoBennett62 to get 10% off your next order from Biñho. Again, if you want to get 10% off your next order from Biñho, use the link in the description to shop. When you go to checkout, code BiñhoBennett62 in the little promo code box, and you'll get 10% off your next order from our friends at Biñho. And shout out to Biñho for being a proud partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. To flip things on to a more positive note, we've got another guest appearance. Obviously, Erin Grugan on earlier in the show, a twofer type flow on this episode. Scott Dominey, Sam LeClair from Wings Media Day. If you're an OTB listener, you've heard this interview already because we've aired them first on OTB, but very awesome interview. Great to see Scott, kind of back in the saddle, ready to see him back out on the floor. His presence was sorely missed last season after his injury. Sam LeClair's back. He is going to be an absolute force. He's already a fan favorite, and you'll hear why. So without any further ado, we are going to kick it to our Philadelphia Wings Media Day interviews with Sam LeClair and Scott Dominey. All All right, everybody, we're back here at Philadelphia Wings Media Day 2025 with Sam LeClair and Scott Dominey. Boys, good to see you again. Just tell me about the excitement factor going into another season here in Philadelphia. Sam, obviously you re-upped here for 3 years, and you've been a big piece of this offense since you've been traded here, and just re-upping with Philly and choosing to stay here. How excited are you to be back and in the mix? And Scott, obviously good to see you back healthy. How's the off-season recovery process been for you?
Yep. You want to go first, Sam?
Yeah, sure. I'm super excited to be back. This is my 5th year in the league, and I'm back in Philly. I signed for 3 more years, so I couldn't be happier where I'm at. And I'm just excited to get back with this group, the group we have, the core that we have, and seeing everyone's face again, like just here at the media day and leading into camp. It's super exciting, and it's the time of the year that we all wait for, right? All summer everyone's in different places across North America, and we're just excited to get back to playing Philadelphia lacrosse. So super excited and happy to be back.
Yep. Recovery, it's coming along. So can't wait to get back in front of the fans. That's the biggest thing. Teammates, like Sammy was saying, we're all in different places over the summer. So getting back into training camp, feeling the flow of things, and that will just boost morale, and we'll be working hard.
Sam, when you see last year when Scott gets injured and just the domino effect that was for you to see him back healthy, how excited are you to have him back out on the floor with you guys?
Yeah, I remember that day pretty clearly when Scott went down, and he's really the pulse of our team. He's the energy guy. He's in the locker room, on the floor. You see it. Obviously, the fans know about it, and as being his teammate, we see it even more off the floor and in the room, and we really missed him. We missed his presence when he went down, and it really felt like a stab in the heart when he went down, because no matter who it is, you don't want to see your teammate, your brother, get hurt in that fashion. And seeing him today back healthy and moving, walking smoothly, it makes me smile seeing him like his old self. It has that smile on his face, and you see the excitement that he's ready to work, ready to play this year, because like with a knee injury, it's not a short recovery. He's been putting in the work, a lot of recovery, and I can see it in his face. He's amped up, ready to go.
Some new faces obviously coming to town in free agency. Eric Fennell was just in here with us. Corbeil is now a member of this team as well, and Joey Rez re-ups for a year. To have those veteran presences come into each facet of the locker room, and have Eric here for the first time, have Chris kind of being that anchor of the defense with his pedigree, and to have Joe choose to come back here for another year. How exciting is that for you guys when you see all of the announcements come through of guys joining this roster?
Yeah, it's awesome. I've known Eric for a number of years. We're both from similar areas. He's from St. Catharines. I'm from Welland, Ontario, which are about 10 minutes apart. So we're very familiar with each other. We played with each other in the summer in Six Nations years prior. So I'm super happy to have him on our side. He's definitely a handful on the floor, and I think the fans will quickly realize that he's a force to be reckoned with, and he looks really good in gold and black, I'll tell you that. So we're super happy to have him. And then for Rezi and Corbeil to have them back, those guys, they've been around the league. They're super vets. They've been around. They've seen the game in all different areas. So they're really useful guys to have on the floor as well in the locker room for our young guys. Their guidance is super important for those guys, as long as myself. So we're super excited to have them back and see what we can do this year.
When you have someone like Brennan O'Neill, who just stepped into the box game full-time for the first time last season as a rookie with the first overall pick expectations, and you guys are able to have a front row seat to watch what he was able to do, how exciting is it to kind of see just his growth, and what are your guys' expectations as teammates for him as he heads into year 2?
I feel like he hasn't even done anything yet. He's about to just take off. His summer season, you could see where he was just demanding the ball. He would take it to the rack. I think if he can translate that to the box game, he's going to be top 10 in the league. He's going to help our team. He's going to help our players. I think bringing in Eric, a big body, and having Blaze on that left side is going to move bodies, right? Take away the pressure that's going to be on Brennan, and he can cook.
when you mentioned Blaze, when you have Blaze here as, the last remaining original member of this team from when the team was brought back and, wearing that C on his chest, how valuable of a leader is Blaze in that locker room for you guys, and how valuable of a player is he on the floor? And what are some things that, not a lot of people would see about Blaze unless they had that one-on-one interaction like you guys are so fortunate to have?
He cares about, he knows everything that's going on in the summer. He knows everything that's going on in the winter. So he's super valuable about bringing our team together afterwards, right? Creating a family culture, which is super important in sports. So, having Blaze know the ins and outs of Philadelphia and just being such a genuine guy, it's awesome, and it's helping us.
Sam, when you have, a locker room that has veterans, you have a young core as well, and just meshing those two where you have guys like Joe and Eric and Chris who have been around the league and have seen, ups and downs, and you have guys like Mitch, and you have, Brennan, you have Michael Sowers for the first, full season of his career this year. How important is it to have that young core and veteran leadership kind of mesh together in the locker room?
Yeah, it's super important to mix the veteran guys with the rookies. It seems natural at times, and for the veteran guys, I feel like they really put that on their shoulders, where it's put on them, and they can guide those guys, because at one point they were those younger guys, and I'm sure they had many veteran guys who they looked up to and helped them along the way. So they put that on their shoulders, and they have all the experience in the world, right? So they're super valuable to our young guys, and they're great guys to learn from.
We're a little more than a month away from the home opener, against Colorado on December 13th. What level of excitement as the, lead into that rolls around do you guys feel, getting ready to run out of the tunnel for the first time? And Scott, I'm sure it'll be even more elevated for you coming off of the injury, but hearing the fans and, seeing the fire go crazy off of the scoreboard, and just the environment that this arena is on a Wings game day, how exciting is that for you guys to know it's right around the corner?
It's exciting. Today I saw a ball bounce off the boards and kind of trickle on the turf. I'm like, whew, like that brings me back. Like, I got to go pick up that loose ball. Like that, brings back good memories, warms your heart. Running out onto that floor, giving the half fives to the fans. Hopefully we can go around the boards and do some taps after a big win. So, it's pretty exciting.
And Coach coming into his second year at the helm as a head coach, what are some things that you guys recognized last year about him that make him a great head coach, and what are some things that you're looking forward to in his second year at the helm that he is going to take everything from last year and grow from?
Yeah, Rubes is the ultimate leader, right? He comes from a line of work where you need to lead and you need to give instruction, and as an army you come together. So we really feel like we're his soldiers, and we owe him that hard work. And I know that every single guy on our roster during this summer really put all their emphasis on training and being prepared, ready to go for that first whistle.
When you look into the locker room a little bit, I asked Mitch, who's kind of the jokester of the team. I'm going to ask you guys, who's kind of in charge of the aux cord, going into a game day, and who's kind of running the ones and twos in the locker room for you guys?
Well, you mentioned Mitch. He likes to grab the aux cord. I'll give him this. He has good variety. He likes to mix in the old stuff and the new stuff and different genres. He likes to make everyone happy, as you would probably know if you've met him. He's really good. Another guy who grabs the aux is Phil. I like Phil's music. He'll get you pumped up. He knows the good stuff. So whatever's on, we're usually good vibes in the room.
When you have a goaltender like Nick Damude back as well, and you see just how he just put his body on the line last year for you guys, how important is it, just in general in this league, to have a goaltender of Nick's caliber and having an elite level goaltender, holding the back end down for you guys?
Probably the most important position to have a star like Nicky, right? He's the one that's playing the whole game, somebody that you have to rely on. I think the defense, right, we need to work together with him. He needs to pull some saves out of his hat, and we need to pull some big defensive plays out of our hat. So it's we need to work together, and then our offense just needs to put the ball in the net. So, yeah, having Nicky, such a good goaltender, and then Deacon not backing him up, it's a good duo. They're both good goalies, so very excited.
Looking forward to the home opener, guys. Can't wait to see you running back out on the floor. Scott, happy to have you back healthy as well, and best of luck this season, and looking forward to, a playoff push for you guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shout out to Scott Dominey and Sam LeClair for hopping on the show from Wings Media Day. Big thank you to the Philadelphia Wings for allowing us to be out at Media Day. Looking forward to the home opener December 13th at Xfinity Mobile Arena. Speaking of Xfinity Mobile Arena, one of their key inhabitants, the Philadelphia Flyers. They are buzzing, ladies and gentlemen. The Flyers are buzzing right now, okay? They're just so fun, man. This Flyers team is so fun, and there's going to be some blips on the radar, but to bounce back after the loss in Dallas the way that they lost on Saturday, to then go and win 3-2 in overtime against the Blues, to then put a nuclear ass-kicking on the New Jersey Devils. 4 goals in the first period, 3 in 26 seconds in the first period in that game. 6 total goals. This team's awesome. This team is awesome. They're battling for playoff positioning. We're getting ready to turn the calendar to December, and we're talking about the Flyers. And it's not just Flyers Twitter trying to be pick-me's. It's not just Flyers Twitter trying to say, hey, watch our sport, watch our team. No, this team is legitimately fun. I was talking to Owen, our co-host of the Underground Circuit podcast, and literally we don't remember the last time we had this much fun watching the Flyers. They're so fun. They're playing good hockey. They're fighting for playoff positioning, and I know it's so early to even be thinking about that, but when's the last time when the calendar was getting set to turn to even just Thanksgiving that we were talking about the Flyers in a relevancy standpoint? It's been a long time, and a lot of people took my clip that I put out about the Flyers and how long it's been since we made the actual Stanley Cup playoffs and how many coaches and everything. I posted that on TikTok, and my goodness, the Flyers TikTok fans are the most negative Nellies I've ever seen. Guys, it's okay to smile, okay? But I'm loving what I'm seeing from the Flyers. Win, lose, or draw. They're playing good quality hockey. 11 wins now on the season, and this is the ultimate free year. You're in a rebuild. You never know what's going to happen. The East feels like it's a little down right now. Everyone's kind of, within 5-6 points of each other outside of the Maple Leafs, who have the worst point total in the East with 21. I don't know. I love that optimistic October is carry over to November, and we're prepared to carry optimistic October over to damn optimistic December when we're talking about the Philadelphia Flyers. And if the Flyers by Christmas are still in this relevancy spectrum, I'm going to try to do what we have done with Erin talking about the Sixers and having somebody on to talk about the Flyers with me every week, because obviously you guys know my strong suits in terms of like X's and O's, in terms of just like being able to bounce off my own thoughts, that's football and baseball. That's lacrosse. But football and baseball, particularly on this show that we're talking all the time, those are my bread and butter. Those are the two sports that I can talk circles around people for days. Basketball, hockey, I know the sport, but when I have somebody to bounce it off of and we can get a conversation flowing, it's that much more enticing, I think, for you guys as listeners and viewers, which it would be for baseball and football, like to have somebody to converse with. I got to find Harrison. I haven't heard from that man since his trip to Indiana, and I'm afraid they buried him out there. But yeah, if the Flyers are finding themselves in the relevancy spectrum around Christmas, which means we look at the Flyers schedule here. They've got the Lightning on Monday, Panthers on Wednesday, Islanders on Friday, Devils on Saturday, Pittsburgh on December 1st, Sabres on December 3rd, Avalanche on December 7th, Sharks on December 9th, Golden Knights on December 11th, Hurricanes on December 13th, Hurricanes on December 14th, that time in Carolina, Canadiens on December 16th, Sabres on December 18th, Rangers on the 20th, Canucks on the 22nd, Blackhawks on Festivus, and then off until the 28th. So after the Blackhawks game, that's where I'm going to kind of put a pin. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 games. 16 games. That would be a maximum of 32 points. If they are able to muster in the range of 14 to 22 points. I know that's a wide range of point total, but that would put them right now where they're sitting at 25 as of this recording. 25 plus 14 would be 39 points. 25 plus 22 would be 47 points. Yeah, if they're within like the 44 to 47 range of points by Festivus, if not better, we gonna try to find a Flyers guest for the show, and that'll make me happy. That means the Flyers are relevant in a crucial point in the calendar when typically our sports talk in this city, whether it be podcasts, the stupid radio stations, or anywhere in between, is mostly dominated by the Eagles. If we can be able to talk Sixers and Flyers at a relevant standpoint, if we can talk about the Wings at a relevant standpoint, we're going to do that on this show. If we can talk Union offseason, and obviously I'll talk Phillies offseason when it's more in flux and all of that, if we're able to just go balls to the wall talking about every single team on this show, best believe we're going to do it. We talked about 5 teams on this episode, and I'm not even done talking about the Flyers. Talking about the Eagles, the Sixers, the Union, the Wings, and the Flyers. 5 of our 7 teams, or 6 teams. No. 5 of our 7 teams. No Water Dogs, no Phillies on this episode. But the Flyers, damn impressive game against the Devils. 6 goals, 3 in 26 seconds, which set NHL records. I'm having a lot of fun watching the Flyers, and that's what we set out for this season to be when it came to the Philadelphia Flyers, was just vibes, smiles. Let's enjoy what we're going to watch and watch the development of what is hopefully the makings of a future championship core. I think we're having a lot of fun. Trevor Zegras is that guy, And we're doing this without Michkov being like a rock star. When he taps in and is starting to get going, best believe this team's going to look even better. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing from the Philadelphia Flyers, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hope the relevance continues, and by Festivus, a little less than a month from now, hopefully we got a Flyers guest on the show. That is all I've got for you guys. Make sure you're following us on the socials at Underground PHI across the board. We're on every social platform. Be sure to follow us. You can follow me at KBIZZL311 on Twitter, KBIZZLE11 on Instagram and Threads. Subscribe to the pod, subscribe to the pod, subscribe to the pod. Please, please, please. That is all I want this holiday season is for you all to subscribe to the pod on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave us a 5-star review. It goes a long way for helping this show get into the algorithm, helps more people find the show. So please, 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 as Sabrina Carpenter once said, subscribe to Underground Sports Philadelphia on Apple and Spotify and leave those 5-star reviews. Subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. Leave a like on the video, drop a comment in the comment section, and click that bell icon so you know whenever new videos go live. That channel is where you get 2 episodes a week of this here program, plus all of our shows on the network, except for the house show with Pat Pitts, which you can subscribe to that YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/@official house show. And speaking of shows and homes, this show is proudly presented by the city of Vineland. And guys, I love that my hometown is behind us and supporting us every step of the way. And guess what? Whether you're a company looking to expand, relocate, or you're a new business startup, selecting the right location is critical to your success. Vineland, New Jersey offers both an affordable business location and an excellent quality of life. The city's economic development department is a one-stop source for moving your project through the development and approval process, and their goal is to make this process as smooth as possible and to provide the fastest turnaround times in the region. If you're a company considering potential locations for your operation, contact the Vineland Economic Development Team at 856-794-4100. That's 856-794-4100. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season. And big thank you to Security 21 Security Systems and Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated for their continued support of this podcast. And this has been episode number 797 of Underground Sports Philadelphia. I'm your boy KB. Let's keep on keeping on, ladies and gentlemen. Let's keep on keeping on. I'll talk to you guys on Wednesday. I'll be recording on Tuesday, and if anything pops up, from a Eagles game perspective for Friday's game or what have you, after I record and such, I will post, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, TikTok content, all that good stuff, reacting to it. But just so that we can all enjoy a easy, relaxing holiday and then gear up for Friday afternoon football. Gonna record a little bit early and have the show out on Wednesday, and then we'll go from there. Speaking of holidays, when is Merry Chrysler this year? Chrysler is on a Thursday. So stay tuned for what that schedule is going to look like, because good grief. Oh, boy. But this has been episode number 797 of Underground Sports Philadelphia. I'm your boy, KB. Please subscribe to the channel to cheer me up from this abysmal Eagles loss and Union loss. It will make me happier. Shout out to Erin Grugan. Shout out to Scott Dominey and Sam LeClair. And shout out to the Philadelphia Wings. I will see you guys on Wednesday. But until then, I'm getting the heck up out of here. I'm signing off. And no matter what, it's still go Birds, dickhead. Peace.